Alright, guys. Let's go.
Hey guys, Jackdaw here. A year ago today, a little game called Mass Effect Andromeda came out. And for Jackdaw and his channel, everything seemed spectacular. A lot of you guys actually discovered me because of my coverage on Mass Effect. However, there was a stir in the air. You see, what Jackdaw didn't expect was for Mass Effect Andromeda to be a hot flying piece of garbage that was going to the dogs, which then inevitably made him revamp his content for the better. To celebrate Mass Effect's birthday, today I'm taking a comprehensive look at the flop of Mass Effect Andromeda, exploring the failure of the role-playing game, delving into the fan demand, the game development cycle, and particularly why I especially was disappointed. I then intend on flipping on to what BioWare could learn from Andromeda's mistakes. And to lighten the mood throughout this video, I will be posting a few memes. I don't want this to be too down in the dumps and depressing now, do I? So, like a vulture on fire, let's just roll on with this, shall we? Over a year ago now, I created a video called Mass Effect Andromeda Retrospective. The video delved into the development cycle and the history of the upcoming sci-fi spin-off title. I'm going to be retelling this development story within this video, so we can see how doomed Andromeda was from the very start. So sit tight and let's skip down memory lane, Wizard of Oz style. Looking back 5 years ago. The year is 2013. The final release of Mass Effect 3's DLC, Citadel, was released March 5th worldwide. With that fantastic piece of content shipped and sold, Mass Effect 3's production had met its end. The team had shifted on to other projects. We now know that this was the very time that BioWare's new IP, Anthem, had begun its development journey. With both BioWare Edmonton teams now busy working on either the anticipated Dragon Age Inquisition or the new IP Anthem, rumours of Mass Effect 4 began to surge through the internet. BioWare opened up the floodgates upon their next space adventure. They shared the fact that Commander Shepard would no longer be a part of the franchise, and calling it Mass Effect 4 would imply the game to be a sequel, which this game would not be. Within a dev diary at E3, Mass Effect 4 was confirmed to be in development at BioWare Montreal, which was not the franchise's original home. The Montreal studio was to be in full control, as Mass Effect's creative director Casey Hudson was to stay on as executive producer. Because of this, Mass Effect 4 was described to be fresh and new, a different approach for gamers to enjoy the franchise with new technologies. The bar was raised for what the team could achieve, especially with the Frostbite engine now in use. Although, out of the blue, later that year, executive producer Casey Hudson left BioWare after nearly 16 years of games development within the studio. His final words were, "I know that I leave our projects in great hands and I join you in looking forward to playing them." In 2014, BioWare were focusing all of their efforts on delivering Dragon Age Inquisition, so Mass Effect 4 wasn't talked about until after Inquisition's release, which of course was entering 2015. Articles popped up stating the fact that Mass Effect 4 would not be like Inquisition. Despite the game's success, Mass Effect 4 will not be following it as a template. So with Dragon Age Inquisition out, with it being reviewed very well, winning Game of the Year at the Video Game Awards, of course DLCs for the game began to boot. But every Mass Effect fan now questioned, what would we be seeing from BioWare at E3 in 2015? Well, we got our first look into Mass Effect 4, or Mass Effect Andromeda as its official title was confirmed, contrasting the original Shepard trilogy. The main takeaway from E3 at this point was the fact that the game was called Andromeda and it was actually given somewhat of a release date, holiday 2016. And around this time, drips of news poured out about the game, but BioWare kept it pretty tightly shut, generally just telling everyone again that Shepard will not be returning. So with the game presumably coming out in holiday of 2016, everyone wanted to know what the game will look like, other than the CGI elements that we already got. N7 Day would be the most given opportunity for such a gameplay and narrative reveal. So with tiny bits of repeated information coming out throughout 2015, everyone waited anxiously till November 7th. When the big day did arrive, everyone was saddened by the signing off of Commander Shepard as they handed the torch to our new protagonist, though this trailer was still not enough for fan demand. fans. We didn't get anything else. And hearing that this game is to be coming out in 2016, which was going to be a couple of months away, and still no gameplay or story was shown at two major marketing opportunities, it left people wondering about a delay or perhaps something even worse. And then suddenly in December, a month later, the Mass Effect Andromeda development team lost their senior development director, Chris Wynn. Again, this left a lot of fans and the media very wary of Mass Effect Andromeda. No gameplay, no news, other than a departure. 2016 brought a massive silence regarding Andromeda 2. There was no gameplay reveal at PAX, no small trailers for Mass Effect 3's birthday in March, all silent until another staff leaves the Andromeda production team. Lead writer Chris Sherlock left BioWare in February to join Bungie. Topped off then with Cameron Harris, the narrative writer, leaving in April. This news only prepared people for a delay. In the same month as well, a small gameplay leak was released. Nothing major, just a showreel of what the Frostbite engine is capable for in terms of Mass Effect Andromeda. Not enough content to judge what was going on. Everyone began to wonder if this was to be the shown gameplay at E3 in the coming months. Maybe it got leaked early, so everyone waited around, but before E3 actually came, the news most people were expecting arrived early. Mass Effect Andromeda got delayed to early 2017. On June 16th for EA Play, BioWare finally revealed Mass Effect Andromeda. We got another behind the scenes video explaining the game's general narrative, but still no solid gameplay. A lot of people were very underwhelmed and predicted another delay, even a cancelling, questioning if the game would ship at all due to its complications and lack of gameplay. BioWare started pouring out more information on Mass Effect Andromeda, but most people were still very skeptical upon an early 2017 release. Just like the previous year, not much gameplay had been shown and 2016 was closing. Of course, N7 Day did come around and BioWare followed up with the Andromeda Initiative. 6 videos that will prove to be our training to prepare for the game. The first episode was revealed, as was the official cinematic trailer for Mass Effect Andromeda. A much improved N7 Day from the past, but again, on everyone's minds, when is this game coming out? If it was not revealed at N7 Day, what does that mean? Is it going to get delayed again? Everyone's spiraled concerns seemed to have piqued BioWare's attention. At the very start of 2017, with the CES conference, BioWare announced that Mass Effect Andromeda was to ship in March, on the 21st in North America and the 23rd respectively in Europe. This was very exciting for most, though some skepticism was still very present. It was just random to release the release date at CES as opposed to N7 Day. And even still at that point, there still wasn't much shown and the game was launching in 2 months. It felt very, very shady. And of course, a year ago today, Mass Effect Andromeda released, and it was majorly criticised and critiqued, largely for its facial animations and narrative, but as a whole, the entire game was a mess effect. The plot, the unlikable and stereotypically bland characters, the technical glitches, the pacing, the open world element, the majority of Mass Effect Andromeda was just bad. When we take a look at the development cycle, we really should have expected this game to be a mess. The amount of people who left major roles during development, and then the lack of actual gameplay, and the minimal coverage and communication from BioWare, it all screams that this game was going to be a flop. Now, looking back, we know that Andromeda's main decline, what it ultimately comes down to is this, and that's the fact that the Mass Effect Andromeda that gamers can play today wasn't built over a period of 5 years, like we expected, but it was something more like 18 months. And it was 18 months of insane crunch time, as the various teams scrambled to implement the story, quests, and dialogue. So when we received the first few trailers of Mass Effect Andromeda, like the one introducing Alec Ryder, the actual game wasn't even in production at that point. How insane is that? What was going on inside BioWare and EA for them to continually delay the production of Mass Effect Andromeda? Why couldn't they just crack on with it? Well, we do know that the Frostbite engine was never designed for the kind of RPG that BioWare wanted to build, which required the company to construct key modules and capabilities essentially from scratch, and at the same time, the focus and the scope of the game changed rapidly, long past the point in a traditional development cycle when these aspects of development would have been locked down. In my opinion, a lot of Andromeda's crash and burn came down to BioWare Montreal, giving a AAA title to a studio who've never created a game before, never mind an RPG that's going to be using a foreign engine to non-FPS games. To me, that's just completely incompetent, and I'm sorry, but whoever's idea that was inside BioWare or EA, you're an absolute dunderhead. Seriously, just think about that for a second. I feel that a lot of Mass Effect Andromeda's failure within the game itself falls down to the fact that the game didn't feel like Mass Effect. It didn't have that spark that the original trilogy captivated. Now, this one is pretty easy to pin the blame onto. What made the Mass Effect trilogy so phenomenal was Casey Hudson's vision for the franchise. He knew what he wanted from it. He knew how to pace the narrative. And I think the fact that he left BioWare so early on in Andromeda's development, well, it hurt the game majorly, and you can definitely see that. Now, Casey Hudson has since returned to BioWare as of last year, taking on the role as general manager, the job that Aaron Flynn had been doing during Andromeda's development. So we're just gonna have to see how good Casey has been at his job when Anthem comes around. So Mass Effect Andromeda's failure comes down to many hiccups. But how did the game make Jackdaw feel? Disappointed, very disappointed. The game to me is an absolute drag to play. It feels like a slog even when I was playing it for the first time. I felt like a vampire was draining my life essence via a powerful spell, or they were just sucking the life out of me by biting my neck. The narrative is a massive mess, and I'm someone who plays BioWare games for their rich and deep storytelling. This was certainly not the case whatsoever, and the pacing was just awful. It was so off-key, it didn't make sense, it didn't work. And I attempted to replay the game again so I could just get more footage of the game for this video, but I found myself disliking the game even more. It's like, you had so much potential, why are you so bad? I look back at my channel and I used to do wish lists for Mass Effect Andromeda, and I was expecting it to be this masterful game created by one of the best studios in the games industry for evocative storytelling and granting the player agency within their games. I had a backlog of damn fan examples to base my feelings for Andromeda 2. You look at BioWare's history and they've created RPGs that have defined the genre, giving it a new definition entirely. The Witcher 3 wouldn't be the game it is today if it wasn't for Dragon Age Origins creating a new platform for RPGs. And then we get Mass Effect Andromeda, which crops up over here, and it just basically craps on BioWare's legacy. They have been majorly humbled by this experience, least to say. So to end on a positive note, what can BioWare learn from Andromeda and its mistakes? Now, there are many things, but this video is already getting too long. So to put them bluntly, communication is key. BioWare need to talk to each of the studios. They need to share ideas, and they also need to talk to their fans. You don't need to keep us in the dark all the time because it gets us worried. And if the game is not ready to ship, then let it stay and bake in the oven for longer. Don't release it expecting to fix it with patches. Again, don't rely and hold out for DLC as well. Mass Effect Andromeda was a mess plot-wise. This was because of lacking story arcs that were intended to be fixed with a DLC. I'm sorry, but holding out for downloadable content is not a great start to creating a game. Did The Witcher 3 do that with its overarching narratives? No, it did not. Its expansions expanded upon established plot points within the base game and took them to another level. Also, the open world element in BioWare games is not working. It needs to be heavily reconsidered. The Mass Effect trilogy was incredible with its more linear levels. It doesn't need an open world. It ruins it. And the same for Dragon Age. The linear levels were spot on. These hub-based worlds, they're absolutely fine. We do not need an open world aspect to it. And if it's going into a development hell, say 4 years of the game and it's still not even being put into development, should you actually release the game anyway, knowing it's going to be badly received? Personally, I think you should just cancel the game if it's going to be that bad. Why release it anyway? Of course, it's EA, they want the money, but if it's going into hell, they should have just scrapped the game as opposed to releasing the garbage that they did. So Mass Effect Andromeda has taught both BioWare and EA an important lesson, one that's cost them financially. Now, we've got Anthem to launch next, and I know the majority of y'all only care for Dragon Age 4, that's absolutely fine. But Anthem is the first of BioWare we'll be seeing since Andromeda, so it's these changes that we're hoping hits Anthem and then onto Dragon Age 4. Anthem is going to be the reassuring answer that BioWare has listened to us, that they have taken their feedback from Andromeda and applied it to this game. Now, of course, Anthem just had a delay, which is great in my books. More time spent on a game, the better. EA always releases their games way too early, so any delay is good in my opinion. Now, as parting words, let's just watch the scene around BioWare. With devs leaving, it's hard to understand their motives at that current point in development. We only see an end product, whereas they've seen the entire spiral of development. Let's just be cautious. I'm hoping for the best with both Anthem and Dragon Age 4, but we've got to be prudent, like a Grey Warden waiting for the next blight. We've all got to watch the scene and just keep our expectations somewhat tame. Anyhow, that'll do it from me. What about you guys? How are you feeling? Tell me down below and let me know if any of y'all are playing Andromeda tonight for old time's sake. Maybe just to giggle at it, I don't know. But for all your things BioWare, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Anthem and any other IPs I might just steer myself into, well, you're already in the right place for all that jazz. Be sure to check out my blog if you really want to get more of my content, and check out one of my swanky shirts. I'm making more of these memey shirts, and if you want to buy one, then be sure to hit that description link down below. But until the next one, I have been Jackdaw, and I should go. Whoa, whoa, whoa.